And we're live. Welcome to CWC Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Chinnick. That's right. Finally have my podcast out. It's been a long time coming. What can I say? It's been years in the making. I've been dreaming of this moment to talk to you, all fans of everything that I love about wrestling. And with that being said, we have 3-pack shows to talk about in one segment today. Now, on this podcast, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame, we're going to talk about the NXT TakeOver, and we're going to talk about WrestleMania. By far, all those events, we're talking literally almost 20 hours of wrestling in literally 30 minutes. So hold and bear in mind that this is my first episode, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to this, but if you're patient, it will all be worth it in the end. So, let's start off with the Hall of Fame. We started with the Dudley Boys being inducted by Edge and Christian. They talked about the history of the wrestling business they got into, falling in love with ECW, getting into WWE, and doing their own careers after. There was some funny moments in it, especially with the sound guy being put through a table. Not your typical Hall of Fame speech, but your typical wrestling in general. Next was Hillbilly Jim, inducted by Jimmy Hart. Hillbilly Jim, really genuine, lovely giant, I guess you can call him. He was a Kentucky-born wrestler who fell in love with wrestling, been in Stampede Wrestling, then into the WF, got to fight with Hulk Hogan, got to fight with Andre the Giant. He had a really good career, and he was really happy to be inducted. Next, we were inducted by Molly Holly, Ivory. Ivory being the first ever born Glow wrestler who went into WWE, fought Chyna, Lita, Trish Stratus, and so many other women in wrestling, and was the only female member of Right to Censor, a faction back in the Attitude Era. That was really awesome. Next, the celebrity induction, which was done by Triple H. Kid Rock. Now, Kid Rock is a fan of wrestling, loves it. He loves everything about WWE. He had a great working relationship with Undertaker. And he is definitely a celebrity that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Then, Jeff Jarrett, which was inducted by Road Dogg. Road Dogg talks about being Jeff Jarrett's roadie. If you remember, when Road Dogg debuted, he was Jeff Jarrett's roadie as Double J, if you say. The crowd chants, "You deserve it," which Jeff Jarrett does deserve it. We're going on almost 21 years for Jeff Jarrett to finally make it in the Hall of Fame. So well deserved for him. Next was the Warrior Award, done by Dana Warrior. Now, it was 4 years back when Ultimate Warrior passed away and they invented the Warrior Award. So to be back in New Orleans where Ultimate Warrior passed away, it was really hard for her to even talk about it. So she really had to really be into the moment. And honestly, if you watch it, you kind of wanted to cry too. She inducted J.J. Robinson, or Jarius J.J. Robinson, either way you want to go about it. This kid, 16 years old, had 2 liver transplants in his life, and was in a coma for 1 year. As a kid you want to look up to. He's definitely a kid who every other kid should look up to. He's done everything in his life to be happy. He loves Roman Reigns. Kept talking about him every second of it. The one wrestler he hates is The Miz. Sorry, Miz. And then Mr. Hall of Pain himself, Mark Henry, inducted finally by Big Show, who by far is his best friend, if y'all didn't know. He had some couple of fans shouting out "sexual chocolate," and he got into that mode where he's talking to Stephanie. So it was kind of a funny moment, but he had an amazing career. I mean, Nation of Domination, being part of that faction, being an ECW champion, being the very first World Heavyweight Champion in WWE, finally having his moment. So yeah, well deserved. And then finally the main event. Goldberg, inducted by Paul Heyman. Wasn't he an ECW owner? Not a WCW. So it was kind of weird. I mean, I would have had Vince McMahon. I would have had Eric Bischoff. But Paul Heyman, not so much. But Paul Heyman, yeah, had Brock Lesnar fight Goldberg many times in their illustrious career. So with that being said, he talked about his career in WCW, his streak, his first stint in WWE, which was horrible because at WrestleMania 20, everybody was booing Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, who both were leaving that same day. So to have come back 12 years later to fight for his son, it was a special moment, and a moment I personally as a fan will never forget. Especially Survivor Series, where he beat Brock Lesnar in a minute 30 seconds. Never would have really thought that anyone could beat Brock the way he did. So I was really happy to see him go in the Hall of Fame. He was well deserved. He is my favorite wrestler, hands down. So I'm very excited for him. Next, we're going to talk about the NXT Takeover New Orleans. Now that, by far, was my favorite show of the weekend. I mean, Triple H being in charge of NXT is everything that he should be in charge of WWE right now. I know Vince is a money maker. He's made money, so there's a reason why he's still doing what he's doing. But Triple H, as a storyteller, knows how to tell a great story. So with that being said, let's start. It started with the NXT North America Championship debut. We had Adam Cole, EC3, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet. Ricochet, if none of you fans know, in the Indies, he's a top star. I mean, you got money in Ricochet. He's got the charisma, he's got the looks, he's got the abilities to be a top star in WWE. So please, do not ruin him. So the fight goes on. You have both EC3 teaming up with Adam Cole, by the way, in the beginning. They were a good tag team. And at one moment, EC3 said, EC3, baby. Which to Adam Cole, he said, no, had none of it. Velveteen Dream, he's hit 3 purple Rainmakers. Then climbs to the top of the ladder and nails Lars Sullivan with a crazy purple Rainmaker. Then tried to climb for the belt. EC3 powerbombed him off another ladder to the corner. Lars Sullivan faces off with Ricochet. He grabs him, puts him through a ladder, and it was just like crazy. Even Killian Dane did it too. It was one of the craziest ladder matches I've ever seen in my life, and I, by far, was a fan of it. Near the end of it, all of them were on the ladder. You had 3 sets of ladders standing up, and you had all of them fighting each other to where Adam Cole is the one who ends up winning it. The very first NXT North America Championship is now Adam Cole's, baby. Then you had Amber Moon versus Shayna Baszler, for the NXT Women's Championship. Not by far was my favorite match too. Why? Because you had a former UFC fighter who finally beat Amber Moon, and 2 is now making a name for herself as maybe the new female version of Brock Lesnar. Please do not screw that up either. It was a really good match. It went back and forth, and at one moment, Amber Moon almost broke Shayna Baszler's arm, but it got to the point where Shayna Baszler put her in a chokehold. She basically passed out. The ref had no choice but to call it, and Shayna Baszler is now your new NXT Female Championship. It got to the point where Shayna Baszler, after the match, went up to Ronda Rousey, who was sitting in the crowd, and hugged her. And basically, I'm calling it now. 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen at SummerSlam. So, get ready, everybody. Then we had the NXT Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match. This was crazy. I mean, it was dominance by the Authors of Pain, by the technical wrestling from Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong, to crazy high-flying moves, and let's basically say it, submissions by the Undisputed Era. The match basically went so crazy that at one moment it was all over the place. Like, it was like man versus man, basically. It was everyone for themselves. We get to the very end, and Pete Dunne's about to get a 1-2-3 win. All of a sudden, Roderick Strong hits him from behind, and the count is over. And then basically has the Undisputed Era on top, and counts 1, 2, 3, over. All, like, everybody was shocked. Roderick Strong is the newest member of the Undisputed Era. This, if you're a fan of wrestling, this is the moment that you've been waiting for a very long time. ROH is taking over NXT. ROH equals the Bullet Club. ROH equals a faction that everybody's been wanting to see. So now we're gonna get into NXT. So I can't wait. I'll be watching a lot of NXT, guys. So hold on, I will make sure you all have it. Next was the NXT Championship. Cien Almas versus Aleister Black. Now this match had Zelina Vega interfere over and over and over and over again. Come on, Almas. You can do better than that. You don't need her to be fighting your battles for you. And Aleister Black, wow. I mean, he's taking wrestling to a whole new level. Guy from Amsterdam is the best wrestler in NXT right now. He is so strong. He definitely could be a top star in WWE main roster. So I can't wait to see where they go with him. Anyway, so Aleister Black basically won that match and dominated most of the match. So I was really happy about that. Then we had the main event. The unsanctioned match by Johnny Wrestling Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. Sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Wow. They had a really good video package of it, to introduce the fight, to tell people the story. And this is what I said. Triple H knows how to tell a story. And this is why Vince should take notice. So they had their match, going back and forth. I mean, you got to talk about a hardcore match. This thing went all over the place. And to the point that Tommaso basically had a black eye. Like, it felt like a real fight. Like, it really made people invested in it. And if you notice, halfway through the crowds, a lot of the crowd was chanting, "Fuck you, Tommaso." Like, I've never heard crowds ever say that. Like, they must have really hated him to be able to go that far to say it. But anyways, it goes back and forth. I mean, Johnny hitting freaking super kicks from left to right over and over again. And then got to the point where he goes down with the knee brace, makes Tommaso Ciampa tap out. And in the end, Johnny Gargano wins. This was like by far my favorite NXT takeover in a very long time. And I was really impressed with it. And I really am happy that they did everything they did for the fans. And I hope you fans were excited as much as I was. Next, everybody, everything you waited for. WrestleMania 34, live in New Orleans, Louisiana. Or Los Angeles. I mean, heck, why not? So we had the basically the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. We had basically Matt Hardy win that one. But funny thing about that is they had Bray Wyatt show out of nowhere, and everyone thought, oh wow, he's all of a sudden joining the match, like part of it, like nobody expected. But then all of a sudden, when Matt Hardy basically threw the guy off, they all of a sudden said he won. So it was like everyone was shocked. Even Matt Hardy himself was shocked. But I guess in a weird way, they had him join up with Bray Wyatt. New tag team. I'm calling it. They're going to go for the tag team championship. Then we had the Cruiserweight Championship. That Cruiserweight Championship was amazing. I mean, talk about putting wrestling where it should be. And that's the thing I want to get to, is why, Vince, did you put the Battle Royal, the Women's Battle Royal, and the Cruiserweight Championships on the pre-show? Are you trying to promote the pre-show more? Or are you trying to say that, as fans, we don't care about these matches? And especially with the Andre the Giant. You have a documentary coming out on Tuesday on HBO. I would think you want to put the Andre the Giant on the main card to have people be recognizing it as a great thing. Even though you basically don't like it yourself. I don't know why you keep doing it if you don't like it. And I know you're trying to put wrestlers over that weren't part of the main card, so at least they have a chance to be on the WrestleMania weekend. Then we had the Women's Battle Royal. Now, the Women's Battle Royal was interesting, to say the least. I feel like they turned Bayley heel by throwing Sasha Banks off right away. Because I feel like they're building a match between Sasha Banks versus Bayley at Backlash. Maybe in the first ever Iron Women's match in WWE. Not in NXT, but in WWE itself. So, we'll see what they do with that. But they had Bayley basically throw her over, thinking Bayley won, and all of a sudden Naomi comes out of nowhere and throws Bayley over. I mean, Bayley was shocked to see Naomi, so all of a sudden it was like, oh, Bayley thought she won, but then Naomi comes out of nowhere, throws her over, and Naomi wins. I think that was just like a mistake, in my opinion. I think it was a mistake. Then we had the main card of the pay-per-view, which then started our 5 hours of wrestling, which had the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match. We had Seth Rollins coming out in Game of Thrones style winter's look. I mean, that was awesome. That was my favorite entrance. Versus Finn Balor, who came out with the LGBT community because he has a new outfit called the Balor Club LGBT logo. He's saying everybody is welcome in his club. And I love that. I mean, that just shows your respect for everybody. And you know what? Everybody deserves respect. Versus The Miz, which had the weirdest outfit ever coming out. I mean, it was basically like 3D glasses meets Elton John. I mean, Piano Man. Come on. What was that? But I feel like Miz is turning into a good guy because he sent back his Miztourage. He's trying to fight for himself. He's not trying to be a villain. Especially because he just gave birth to his baby girl. I mean, he's becoming a man that deserves it. And at the end of the day, I love him for it. So, good on you, Miz. Then we had the Women's Championship match. Now, that was interesting because we had Charlotte coming out to a theme that, to me, felt similar to what Triple H did, I think, WrestleMania 30, when he came out as like a Skull King of Kings look. And we had Charlotte, who was, before she was in NXT, she was one of the side people that was helping Triple H down the rap area. So it was funny that she kind of copied the whole entrance and made it her own. With Asuka, which I liked her entrance, had all these masks all over. And fans were crazy about it. I wasn't crazy about the fact of the finish. I don't understand why you built Asuka up for 2 years for her to win the Elimination Chamber match and the Royal Rumble, for her to no, sorry, she didn't win the Elimination Chamber. I was wrong. Alaska Bliss, sorry. Well, long day, guys, sorry. Wins it. But to have Asuka win the Royal Rumble, I mean, to be the sole survivor of Survivor Series for the women, only for her to lose her streak and not win the championship. And have Charlotte win it. I mean, I'm a fan of Charlotte. Don't get me wrong. I love Ric Flair. I love Ric Flair's daughter. But I believe Asuka should have won that title. I believe Asuka should have been going on for another year. Give it to an up-and-comer who would do it. I mean, you did that before. It's like at WrestleMania, you must hate streaks, WWE. You killed Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, and then this year's WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, you kill Asuka's streak. I mean, what is wrong with you guys? Yeah, so it's like I don't know where I don't know where to go with that, and I don't know what to do with Asuka now. Does she stay on Raw, or does she switch over to SmackDown and try to fight for the title again? Then we had the United States Fatal 4-Way, Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Rusev. By the way, happy Rusev Day. If you didn't know, it's Rusev Day every day. And I'm happy with Rusev. He's finally getting over. He's finally getting that push. I feel like he's got that rub off The Rock, you know. If you ever see the photo of him back in the day, I guess when he first came into WWE, there was a photo of him and The Rock. And I feel like The Rock said something to him that stood up to him, and he finally came up with a gimmick that really works for him. And yeah, so all I can say about that. We basically have Jinder Mahal win another championship. You shocked us with Jinder Mahal winning the WWE Championship, and then you shock us with having him win the U.S. title. Why not put it on Rusev? I mean, come on. Rusev deserves it. I know Bobby Roode and Randy Orton are going to form some type of faction, maybe a new version of Evolution in SmackDown, so we'll see where they go with that one. But I really didn't understand why you gave Jinder Mahal another title reign. It's crazy. And then we had, I want to say, a match that stole the night. A match of the night that I feel stole the show was the debut match of Ronda Rousey. Now we had Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Now, what do I think about that? Well, if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey, I feel like this match would have been stale. I mean, Triple H didn't have any offense. I mean, his entrance sucked. Motorcycles, really? Could you think of anything original? You did that like 2 years ago. Stephanie should not be in the ring. Kurt feels like he's out of place. Doesn't feel like he should be there. But Ronda really came out with Roddy Piper's kind of outfit look. I mean, he would be very happy for you, Ronda. You were his favorite, and the same goes for he was your favorite. So it's like, it was really awesome to see her come out in that entrance. But she had the best movement. I mean, the crowd was so into it. At one moment, it's like, Rowdy Ronda. They kept yelling it out. Like, she is everything what women's wrestling should be a bit all about. And she reminds me of a Brock Lesnar, you know? That's crazy, because to say that twice in this podcast, like, these women are redefining what wrestling's all about. And I'm excited. And I was really happy to see Ronda win. I mean, she got the armbar on Stephanie, and right away, Stephanie tapped. So it was like a really good match. If it wasn't for her, I think this match would have sucked. Then we had the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. This match was on way too fast. I mean, 6 minutes to have the Bludgeon Brothers win it. This should have been the match of the night. I mean, when you have the New Day and the Usos fight, it's a match on any card, the match of the night. But to have it go this fast and have Bludgeon Brothers win it, I'm disappointed, WWE. That was a horrible choice in winners. It's like Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family 2.0. Come on, you can do better than that. Then we had, finally, the John Cena versus Undertaker match. Now, backtrack a little bit. Early in the night, after the women's match, a referee came down to tell John Cena that Undertaker's in the building. Now, John thinking, oh, it can't be real. You know what I mean? The past, 4 weeks, he's not been showing up, and all of a sudden he's here now? Come on. So all of a sudden, he thinks it's true, so he runs up the ramp, gets ready to this match. Now, when this match started, it was just John Cena in the ring, no Undertaker. Elias comes out, and Elias is like talking crap, trying to have his moment, trying to say John Cena sucks, which, to be fair, John Cena does suck. But then John Cena wins the match, and all of a sudden his music played, and he feels bummed out. All of us fans thought we were bummed out. He walks up the ramp, and about 1 minute after he walks up, the lights go out, and the lights come back on in the ring. It's dark. All of a sudden we see the Undertaker's uniform, and then lightning bolts come down, and suddenly the uniform's gone, and then the gong goes off. Now, I was a little bit upset. I was expecting the American Badass Undertaker to show up. I mean, the Undertaker gimmick is over, but if this Undertaker that we saw just tonight is really back, I'm excited because he looked fresh. He looked like the Undertaker of old. You know, he felt rejuvenated. He looked really good in shape. I mean, he looked like he really had taken this match seriously. But this went on for maybe 6 minutes. Undertaker wins and beats John Cena with a Tombstone Piledriver. Then we get to the return of Daniel Bryan back in the WWE ring. It was Daniel Bryan versus Shane McMahon. No, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I mean, this match was really well done. I was thinking it was going to be a heel turn by Daniel Bryan because the way they were building this up, it should have been Daniel Bryan turning on Shane McMahon leading up to a match at SummerSlam for them. But I guess he didn't. They really had Daniel Bryan do all of his moves while Shane McMahon didn't really do much. But they had Daniel Bryan basically put Sami Zayn in the yes lock and made Sami Zayn tap out. That's how Daniel Bryan won. So maybe they'll continue this feud of theirs leading up to maybe SummerSlam where it will be him turning on Shane McMahon. I'll tell you this, fans. If you're a fan of wrestling, Daniel Bryan is the reason you should be watching. Then we got to the Women's Championship Raw title. We had Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. I'm going to say it right. Let's be honest. Nia Jax dominated Alexa. Alexa had no chance. I mean, you're fighting a Samoan bulldozer in Alexa Bliss, or Nia Jax. She is the most dominant woman in Raw. There would be no way she'd be losing this match. And you know what? She didn't. She won the match. I mean, she really put Alexa Bliss to school. I mean, she won with a Samoan drop from the second rope. I mean, she beat the crap out of her, if pardon my French. Then we have the show-stopping match of the night. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Wow. If you thought the Tokyo Dome was a match of the year counted, you didn't see this match then. Because this match stole the show in my eyes. They put on a clinic. I mean, old school wrestlers know what a clinic is when they watch wrestling. This was like finisher after finisher after finishers. You know, it was really awesome. Anyways, AJ Styles won the match. Shinsuke Nakamura couldn't believe it, but their emotions came out. What really made me really excited after this match was Shinsuke Nakamura kneeled to give AJ Styles the title. But then out of nowhere, Shinsuke Nakamura low-blowed AJ Styles. I mean, if you watched his wrestling back in the day, Shinsuke Nakamura was the best heel, hands down. So I was really happy to see him be a heel again. I did not like the good guy, Shinsuke. Oh, give it to the crowd, the dance movement. Like, Shinsuke Nakamura is a badass. So if you know anything about it, this guy is going to take SmackDown to a whole new level. I can't wait. Then we had the Raw Tag Team Championships. Braun Strowman, with his pick from a crowd of a little kid who probably was 12 years old, Nicholas, who beat Cesaro and Sheamus. Are you kidding me? I mean, I was expecting Rey Mysterio. Maybe some of you guys were upset too, like I was. I was expecting it to be Rey Mysterio as his partner because he was spotted in New Orleans, but maybe they're holding that off till tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow, Braun Strowman will finally say who his actual partner is, and it will be Rey Mysterio. Spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. If you're watching Raw hoping for no spoilers, I just gave you one. And then the final match of the night. The last Brock Lesnar match that we'll ever see in WWE versus Boring Reigns, as I like to call him, because he's so predictable in the way he fights. But, yeah, this match was brutal, man. I mean, talk about old school wrestling. Brock Lesnar gave Roman Reigns 7 German suplexes, 5 F5s, and it just made Roman bleed, man. I mean, if this is any indication what Brock's going to be like in UFC, I'm excited because Brock probably sent out a message to Cain Velasquez saying, "You're next, and this is what I'm going to do to you." By the way, this is a shout out to UFC. Dana White was in the house. It's funny because I thought Dana White and Vince McMahon were not friends. But yeah, in the end, we thought Roman was going to win this match, and this is how Brock was going to end up leaving. But I was wrong, guys. I was really wrong. Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns. Again, I say that. Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring. And this is going to be weird because he's going to go to the UFC as champion. Maybe this is an idea that Vince had and Dana White were talking about. Maybe we're going to have the first time that a WWE title is going to be on UFC TV to show that WWE is not a company to take lightly. Maybe we're going to start seeing UFC fighters on WWE, WWE fighters on UFC, and just to build this multi-billion-dollar company as the biggest box office you'll ever see. But by far, this was a really good show. I mean, it was everything I ever wanted in wrestling. I was a fan. It felt like Christmas for me. I hope it felt like Christmas for you guys. All I can say tonight, guys, I mean, I had a really good time talking to every one of you, and I look forward to talking to you guys again. Don't forget, I'll be doing NXT, Raw, SmackDown, ROH, Impact, maybe. Right now, I'm not a fan of Impact and Lucha Underground together, but we'll see. And I will be doing UFC. I thought I wasn't going to, but I feel like UFC could be a good genre to talk about with you guys. And I feel like there's a lot around there that we can get to. Especially now that Brock's going to be taking the title to UFC. I mean, come on. That's awesome. So thank you again, guys. This is CWC Podcast. Mr. Chinnick talking to you. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Laters.